Yo! I love 3D printing. It's genuinely like having a superpower. You can manufacture pretty much anything you could imagine. However, despite your imagination being potentially unlimited, there are limitations to printers, and one of the biggest ones is size. That's why many moons ago, I purchased a Prusa XL, a fantastic multi-head printer capable of printing in 5 different materials or colors without virtually any slowdown to the print time. It's not like some of those other printers that take a 5-hour print and make it 25 hours with colors. However, it's obscenely expensive, and for a lot of people, the size is the only thing they need, which is why I was kind of cheesed, but also super stoked when they sent me the email about what's behind me. The brand new Prusa Core One L. It's the Prusa Core One, which is one of the best printers I've ever used, but it's got a slew of upgrades. It finally comes with a camera. It's got twice the build volume of the Core One, which is why it's taking up so much of my desk here. And apparently, while only being 10% bigger on the outside, at least dimensionally. So let's open the box. Fluffy boy, are you gonna help me open this, buddy? Oh, that's a good boy. Fuck. Just got so much fur in my mouth. Wow, there's already so many things in here that you can't even frickin' see. Holy shitballs. There we go. And then it's just a little something like that. Man, what a like thoughtful and nice unboxing experience. Look at this little guy. Arlo, see, look at that. He's already in there. Now, I don't know if they're doing this to mess with me and they just threw it in the box, but when I unboxed the original Core One on short circuit, there was an extra screw in the box. And guess what? There's no way this thing got damaged. So what is this screw from? What? There's even a free cat? Wow. Look at this little face. Whoa, I got oh my god. Before we talk about all the bits in the box, let me peel this plastic because it's gonna drive all of us crazy. Oh, get out of there, poopy butt. No, stop it. What are you doing? Are you seriously going on top of this thing right now? Why? You should just use today's sponsor, Opera. Now, I'm a bit of a mess sometimes, and after opening tab after tab, CN Tower, I used to end up with an untenable mess. Kind of like a failed 3D print. But with Opera's Tab Islands feature, I can group all my similar tabs together. Those 5 3D printer tabs I had open earlier, grouped. Menus I was looking at for lunch, grouped. Cat pics, on their own little island, not cluttering up my workspace. And with tab traces, Opera makes it super easy to see which tabs you've been on most recently with these cute little markers. They're like breadcrumbs you can use to follow your way home and an absolute lifesaver when you're bouncing around tabs. It's honestly an ADHD person's dream, just like their floating video player, which lets you pop out what you're watching and move it around anywhere, even outside the browser, so you can keep watching while you browse or work on something else. And if music is more your jam, their floating player works across 7 different services like Spotify, Apple Music, and Tidal, and it's smart enough to automatically pause itself if you play a video. It's genuinely really slick, but don't take my word for it. Download Opera at the link down in the description and try it out for yourself today. What are you waiting for? Just try it. Here's everything you get in the box. We've got pretty much everything you need to take this entire machine down to the smallest of individual parts if you wanted to. We've got extra plastic rivets, which they use to install all the panels on the exterior if you want to do some cool modifications or you lose some. Lubricant, isopropyl alcohol, a nozzle cleaning tool. Look at that. It comes with a spare hardened nozzle. This is really important if you want to print abrasive, like super strong filaments that got carbon fiber in them or something. That will chew up normal brass nozzles, but out of the box, this thing uses a CHT high flow nozzle, which is very, very fast. We've got a 1080p camera you can stick in the top. Why is this wrapped like this? Who wrapped this? We've got what I think is a 6-foot C13 power cable. Oh, a filament spool, USB key you need, Haribo gummy bears. Those come with every Prusa printer. Now it's supposed to be encouragement to assemble it if you're getting a DIY kit, but the Core One L presently only comes fully assembled. And of course, propaganda. Ooh, and a nice little cheat sheet for the size of the fasteners that are on here if you need to check. 3D printing handbook, 1 kilogram of Prusa PLA Galaxy Black, and the build plate. Oh my God. Look at how much bigger this thing is. Holy. Here's the normal Core One build plate, and there's the Core One L build plate. You're talking double the build volume of the normal Prusa Core One, but at only 10% larger outside dimensions, which is a little misleading. One is the physical dimensions and the other is volume. If you actually just do the math on the dimensions, let's see. It's only about 26% larger on average across the dimensions, but that doesn't mean you're getting prints that are double the dimensional size. On the website and their marketing material, they claim it's only 10% larger on the outside dimensionally, but from what I can tell, it seems to be about 14% larger. I don't know, man. Maybe European math is different than everywhere else math. Either way, we're talking about a lot more room to boogie than the original Core One. It's not quite the same size as an H2D from Bamboo, but it's getting close, and they finally have an offering in this size and price class, which is fantastic to see. I almost didn't notice this, but it's a satin build plate this time, which is typically reserved for a little bit spicier filaments like carbon fiber infused polycarbonate, because if you're using the really glossy, smooth PEI sheets, that type of filament gets so stuck that when you pull it off, it will damage the plate. The satin ones are much better for that, and this is probably the most universally compatible plate. It's basically what I print everything on. Oh, Haribos are my favorite, dude, holy. I'd say this is bribery, but they include it for the customer printers too, so I think they just call that marketing. Speaking of printer, now if you've seen a Prusa Core One, aside from the size, everything on the outside looks basically the same. That side has nothing really in it. Oh no. And you take your filament and you can feed it into the side of the printer. Hello?
You didn't say the magic word.
Okay, the end of the filament was kind of boogied up. And then you just push it in and eventually you're in the printer. Sweet. Now there's a filament sensor inside of here, as well as one in the actual head of the printer. And apparently they've revised the side filament sensor so that you can more easily insert soft filaments like TPU. Because if you hear that kind of, that's the actual filament sensor riding against the filament, and that can make inserting soft filaments like TPU quite a bit harder. So in theory, I can disable that somehow. Oh yeah, there's a little switch right there inside. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah, there's definitely a lot less drag on the filament. I actually, you know what, maybe I can't tell. I actually can't tell the difference. Either way, let's get back to the fun side. There is so much cat hair on this thing. I wonder if this is what my extra screw is from. Oh, nice. Let me push the little ribbon cables back, and the whole front just magnets on. Am I supposed to leave those orange bits on there though? And boom, 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 the screen is attached. Now inside of the Core One L is where we get to see some of the new goodies. Now it's not entirely different aside from just being larger, but what is a massive upgrade is this build plate. That's got a ring to it, baby. Look how thick it is too, sheesh. As you can see, it looks a little bit different, and that's because the build plate is now made out of one giant block of aluminum with an AC heater inside of it rather than a DC heater. Apparently, the heat difference between the coldest and hottest point on this build plate should only be about 2 degrees. So you should never have to worry about where on the build plate you position something, and you should have a lot less problems with peeling corners on your 3D prints, especially because when it's closed, the chamber can get up to 60 degrees, which is perfect for printing advanced filaments. And I'm really interested to see how this build plate does, because I often print stuff on my Prusa XL. Because it has a bunch of individual heating elements, it can control its bed surface temperature a lot more accurately, and that means you have a lot less problems with warping prints and like the corners peeling up. Now, they include an isopropyl wipe, but I have spray, so I'm just gonna use that. Now, if you're new to 3D printing and you don't have a spray bottle full of isopropyl alcohol or Windex, when it's clean, you're gonna have much better first layers and your prints just stick better. Trust me. Also, dry your filament. Get a filament dryer if you don't have one. I'll link a few decent ones down in the description, and I'll also have links down there for the Core One and Core One L, and it's where you can hit that subscribe button. Now, while we're in here, why don't we mount up the camera? Now, they did say it's included with the printer, but they didn't necessarily say you had to mount it. Luckily, you just have to peel the sticky tape for the antenna, and otherwise it attaches with magnets. Because it doesn't actually connect to the printer directly, aside from for power, it connects to your Wi-Fi. So if that's a problem for you, you have been made aware of that now. Wait, shit. Oh, it's got a little holder. Look at that little cutie up in there, eh? It's just a 1080p camera like most of the printers, but apparently it has night vision. Around back, we've got the power supply, a little NFC reader where you can pass the Wi-Fi credentials to your printer with the Prusa app, which is a really nice setup feature. And then the little Wi-Fi antenna thing, which still sticks out. Let's get this thing powered up. Okay. Okay, we have to pick a language. This is your thing. I would like to guide you through the setup process. Remove all 3 screws that secure the heat bed. 3? I swear there was 2. Oh, yeah, look at that. There is a 3rd screw hole. That's our extra screw. Do you want to enable the door safety feature? No. Yes, I know, it's unsafe. Happy printing. And there it is, the Core One L. And there we go, we've got our big old bed ready for a model. They even made the build plate in the software thicker. Now, before we can send models directly from the slicer into the printer, we've got to connect it to Wi-Fi. So I've got the Prusa app downloaded here. We'll go set up printer Wi-Fi, Core One L. We'll type in the Wi-Fi name, which is just Prusa. Type in our password, click NFC, and then if I just tap it on the back of the printer, and boom, there we go, now we got Wi-Fi. There's my hand. Blah, 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 blah. Now I wish you could record a time lapse just on the printer and that the camera wasn't like this separate module. But if you do want to do that, you can, of course, use the SD card, or you can take this RTSP URL and you can record it with something like OBS, which is a streaming software you can run on pretty much any computer. It's not crazy complicated, but one day, I hope. I spent the last few days printing a myriad of things on the Prusa Core One L, starting of course with a benchy. And because the Core One L is a Core One but L, it prints a benchy in the exact same time as a normal Core One, which is a really awesome thing. And in terms of the actual print quality, it looks pretty much like a print off of a Core One, which is not a bad thing. Prusa does still seem to have a little bit of issues with VFAs, or vertical fine artifacts, which you can see right there. It's kind of those little wavy bits. It was a really big problem when the Core One first came out, but they've made some adjustments to their slicer profiles and also changed the belt tuning on it to kind of resolve like 80–90% of it. But at certain speeds, it's definitely still there, especially when the printer tries to slow down a little bit around corners or when bridging. That being said, it's not a problem that I experienced on all of my prints. This is a sick Darth Vader bust by a dude named Eastman on printables, printed in Prusa's Galaxy Black filament, which you can see has got a little bit of sparkle to it, which helps hide some imperfections and layer lines and whatnot. There's a little bit of like deviation in the kind of finish on the outside of the back of this thing, and the front looks fantastic. I mean, just look at all them details. And this is only at 0.15 layer height. You can go down as far as 0.05 if you want to print something really accurate with really fine details. And here's the stand printed in their marble PLA, which also helps to hide some of the imperfections, but still looks really good. Also, I printed a little one early on, and then I was like, this is a big printer. Why am I printing this stupid little one? So he has a friend. But this is a pretty big printer. You gotta be able to print big stuff, like say, Arlo, get out of the box, brother. Look at this guy. Look at this. Can I help you? A BBSLM, very cool. Also found on printables. Printed in this Elegoo silk PLA, looks pretty nice. And while it's not perfect, it did print pretty well. But this is actually sized for the normal Core One, because on the Core One L, you can print one so big that the small one fits inside of it. This is the practical difference between a Core One and a Core One L's print volume. You end up with a maximum single piece part size that is way bigger. And it's really freaking cool to be able to do that. If you wanted to print a wheel this big, you're talking about printing it in multiple pieces and gluing it together, unless you have a Core One L. But what I'm more interested in is how fast it heats up, because despite it being physically larger, Prusa says the heat bed in the Core One L actually heats up substantially faster. And they also added fans to the bottom of the heat bed that blow against it to try to help heat the chamber faster too. So let's press go. One kind of minor quirk I found while I was trying to do the chamber testing is that a manual preheat of the printer, like going on here and saying preheat to this temperature, doesn't close the chamber vents for some reason. You have been warned. And Prusa, what? Fix your shit. So after 30 minutes, the answer is pretty clear. The Core One L's chamber heats up way faster. You're talking a chamber temperature of 40 degrees Celsius in a matter of less than 6 minutes versus less than 16 minutes on the normal Core One. That is an insane difference. And even after half an hour, the normal Core One in this 21 degree ambient room is still not up to 50 degrees Celsius. However, the Core One L reached that in 11 minutes, which is, I guess, 3 times faster because the other one still hasn't got there yet. Now, I didn't really see temperatures in excess of 55 degrees on the Core One L. At least on the screen, it says around 57, 58, but the actual API from the printer seems to report a lower temperature than that. Either way, it heats up way faster. And as for the bed, well, it is faster to heat up technically up to the maximum temperature, and in reality, it also is more functionally faster to heat up in that the entire build plate gets up to a usable, more even temperature much faster. However, in terms of how fast it gets to the temperature reading that the little thermal probe on the heat bed wants to see, well, it's really not that much faster. Unless you're trying to get up to 120 degrees Celsius, the maximum heat bed temperature, you're basically at the same time or slower than the Core One, but it also has a lot less mass to heat up, so I'm not entirely surprised. I print a lot of PCCF and other high temp materials that like a heated chamber, so for me, the Core One L is huge. No longer will I be waiting 30 minutes for the print to just frickin' start because the chamber's heating up. Pretty much 5 minutes to get to that 40-degree mark. That is, for the right people, a genuinely huge quality of life improvement. Oh, I forgot that it had this. Now, phase stepping basically allows the printer, using an accelerometer in the print head, to like measure the vibrations and noises that the printer makes and effectively try to like do active noise cancellation. Kind of, it's really an oversimplification. But what it results in is a printer that's way quieter and way less vibraty than one that isn't phase step calibrated. And previously, only the Prusa XL had this feature. As it's running, I can already hear it slowly get quieter and quieter, which is super cool. I think some people's printers will get like a 97% noise reduction off of it, which is crazy. It's not malarkey, it totally works. So yeah, it's pretty much what they said it is. A Prusa Core One, but bigger. Is the build plate better? Seemingly. It's definitely more consistent in the thermal imaging that I took. You're talking about a variation between 2 to 6 degrees, depending on where you're looking at on the bed, versus anywhere from 10 to almost 17 degrees on the normal Core One. It's a much more consistent heat bed, and it being a giant block of aluminum, that makes sense. I still don't get why they ship it with a normal high flow nozzle and then a hardened normal flow nozzle when they could just ship it with a hardened high flow nozzle, probably for about the same price. And in my testing, there's still some weird firmware quirks that they need to work out. Like when you set the chamber temperature to 60 degrees and you turn on the heat bed, it doesn't go and shut the vent for you. You have to either manually do that or start a print to get it to do that, which seems a little weird. There's also still the issue of nozzle cleaning. Now, I kind of mitigated this by adjusting the print profiles to have a lower temperature while the printer is leveling the bed. But if you're printing something like PETG, which has a tendency to ooze depending on the nozzle temperature, you can start a print, walk away, come back 5 hours later when it was supposed to be done, and the thing never started in the first place because the printer was trying to clean the nozzle. Like, why? Bro, your community already solved this problem. They just 3D printed a little thing to hold the little brushes that come with bamboo printers on it, and boom, problem solved. But Prusa, in their infinite wisdom, is just, I don't know, too stubborn to do it. They don't want to seem like they're copying bamboo. It's a good idea. Please, copy bamboo. It's not like they don't copy half your guys' innovations too. Like, Now, rant aside, I'm not saying this is a bad printer. It's a fantastic printer from everything I've seen so far, with just a couple stupid little things that they should fix. It's priced virtually the same as a Bamboo Labs H2D, which does have a couple extra cool features like, I don't know, pressure advance. Prusa, I'm looking at you. But for me, I'll take the minor inconvenience over the worry that my printer manufacturer is gonna lock me to using their software out of the blue and then roll back when everyone gets upset. That to me is huge in an era where pretty much everything is just designed to be disposable. The Core One L is taking the Core One's place as my daily driver 3D printer, and I look forward to printing even more cool, big shit like this. I know what I'm making the car homies for Christmas presents, that's for sure. So thanks for watching, guys. If you like this video, hit the like button, get subscribed, and let me know what you think of the Core One L. Do you have a normal Core One? What's it been like for you? And thank you, of course, to my Patreon subscribers. Goodbye! Woohoo! Oh man, this wheel is sick. I'm taking this one. I'm gonna go put this on a car. Oh, imagine if you made like an F40 like coffee table. That would be sick.